This program is supported by Wilcon Depot, building big ideas.
Naglalakad na babae sa Russia tinamaan ng ligaw na gulong.
Saan naman kaya nanggaling ang gulong na ito? Aba, ang kondisyon po ng pedestrian ating aalamin maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Lunes.
Taunang balikatan exercises ng Pilipinas at Estados Unidos umarangkada na.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba bibisita sa Pilipinas at Vietnam sa susunod na linggo.
Russia, tinutuloy nga ba ang kanilang pag-atake sa Ukraine sa kabila ng inanunsyong truce?
Mga demonstrador nagrally sa labas ng White House kontra sa administrasyong Trump.
At isa pa tayo, 3 sugatan sa arson attack sa high-rise building sa Seoul, South Korea.
21층 규모 앞서 불이 나서 지금
Umarangkada na po ang ika-40 iterasyon ng balikatan exercises ng Pilipinas at ng Estados Unidos.
Ayon sa Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP, inaasahan na magsasagawa ng full battle test ang mga sandatahang lakas ng dalawang bansa. Higit sa AFP at US military, makakasama rin nila ang Australian Defence Force at sa unang pagkakataon ay lalahok din ang Japan Defence o Self-Defense Force. May 16 na bansa naman ang kabilang sa International Observer Program, kasama dyan ang Brunei, Canada, Czech Republic, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Lithuania, Malaysia, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Republic of Korea, Singapore, Thailand, United Kingdom at Vietnam. Layo ng taunang balikatan na ihanda ang puwersa ng dalawang bansa sa virtual at constructive exercise scenarios. Kabilang rito ang air, land, sea, space at cyber aspects para subukin ang interoperability sa pagitan ng puwersa ng US at Pilipinas at mas simulate ang depensa ng Philippine sovereignty. Inaasahang matatapos ang balikatan exercises sa May 9, 2025.
Inaasahang sisimula ni Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba ang kanyang 4-day official visit sa Pilipinas at sa Vietnam sa April 27. Layo ng pagbisita ni Ishiba na pag-usapan ang security cooperation nito sa Pilipinas at sa Vietnam. Inaasahang makikipag-usap si Ishiba kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. para simulan na ang paghahanda sa isang Military Intelligence Sharing Pact sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa na kilala sa tawag ni General Security of Military Information Agreement o GSOMIA. Bibisita rin ng Japanese Prime Minister sa Coastal Surveillance Radar System na binigay ng Japan sa Pilipinas sa ilalim ng OSA framework. Sa Vietnam naman ay makikipagpulong si Ishiba kay General Secretary of the Communist Party To Lam kasama ang ibang senior officials nito.
Sampu pang Pilipinong galing Odarmianche Province sa Cambodia ang balik Pilipinas na rin matapos silang mabiktima ng peking overseas job offers online. Nakauwi ng ligtas ang mga repatriates sa tulong ng Cambodian law enforcement authorities at ng Philippine Embassy sa Phnom Penh. Ayon sa Department of Foreign Affairs, nitong nakaraang linggo, may 26 na mga Pilipino na nagtatrabaho sa isang kumpanya sa parehong probinsya sa Cambodia ang nakauwi na rin ng bansa. Hindi naman nilinaw ng ahensya kung mga Pilipino ay biktima ng human trafficking pero binigyang diin ng DFA na palaging mag-iingat sa mga kahinahinalang job opportunities na kumakalat ngayon sa social media.
Matagumpay at kumpletong naisagawa ng BRP Gabriela Silang ang 26-day mission nito sa Thailand, Malaysia at sa Vietnam. Sinalubong po ng Philippine Coast Guard o PCG ang mga opisyal at tripulante ng naturang barko sa Pier 13 port area ng Manila. Mismo pang si PCG Chief Admiral Ronnie Hilgavan ang nagbigay ng Outstanding Achievement Award kay Captain Elizer Ibarrientos at sa mga kasama nito. Pinuri ni Gavan sina Aberrientos at sinabing ang makasaysayang paglalayag ng BRP Gabriela Silang ay bahagi ng patuloy na pagsisikap ng PCG na palakasin ang diplomasyang pandagat sa ilalim ng balangkas ng ASEAN Coast Guard Forum. Sa loob ng 26 na araw ay binisita ng Gabriela Silang ship ang Lime Chabang Port ng Thailand, Port Klang Cruise Terminal ng Malaysia at Tien sa Port Danang ng Vietnam. Ang nasabing misyon ng PCG ayon kay Gavan ay pagbibigay diin sa aktibong papel ng Pilipinas sa paghubog ng isang rules-based, mapayapa at ligtas na maritime domain sa Timog Silang Asya.
60.18% ang ibinaba ng crime rate sa Metro Manila nitong nakaraang holiday kung ikukumpara sa naitalang record noong nakaraang taon. Ayon yan mismo sa National Capital Region Police Office o NCRPO. Sinabi ng NCRPO na 45 insidente lamang ng 8 focus crimes ang naiulat sa Metro Manila mula Abril 14 hanggang 20. Mas mababaan nila ito kung ikukumpara sa 113 insidente na naitala noong nakaraang taon ng summer holiday. Ang pagbaba ng crime rate sa Metro Manila nitong summer holiday ay bahagian nila ng pagtupad ng NCRPO ng kanilang mandato ng kapayapaan at seguridad. Tungkulin anya ng NCRPO sa publiko na maglingkod at protektahan ng may kakayahan at integridad ang bawat tao.
Tinanggihan naman ng International Criminal Court o ICC Pre-Trial Chamber 1 ang kahilingan ng mga abogado ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na higpitan ang victim verification process sa investigasyon nito sa umano'y crimes against humanity. Sa isang 20-page order, pinayagan ng ICC ang iminungkahing listahan ng mga dokumento ng registry na maaaring magamit upang i-verify ang pagkakakilanlan ng mga biktima na nais lumahok sa mga paglilitis. Sinabi ng ICC na sapat ang detalye ng ICC registry sa bawat dokumento, kabilang na anilang sample format bilang patunay ng pagkakakilanlan ng mga aplikanteng biktima. Tatanggapin din nila ng pre-trial chamber ang isang deklarasyon na pinirmahan ng 2 saksi, kasama na ang kanilang dokumento ng pagkakakilanlan na nagpapatunay sa identification ng aplikante o ang kanilang kaugnayan sa biktima dahil sa kawalan ng standard identification documents. Sagot naman ni Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, lead counsel ni Duterte, hindi patas ang non-sequential list ng ID ng registry. Sa kabila nito ay binigyan ng pre-trial chamber ang prosekusyon ng hanggang July 1 para isumite ang lahat ng ebidensya laban sa dating Pangulo na gagamitin naman sa confirmation hearing of charges na nakatakda sa September 23.
Susunod, President Xi walang kibo kay President Trump.
Iran nagpaabot ng mensahe kay President Putin.
At rally laban kay Trump dinaluhan ng libo-libong tao. Patuloy pong umantabay, magbabalik pa ang mata ng Agila International. Pumanaw na po si Pope Francis sa edad na 88 taon kasunod ng pagkakasakit nito ng pneumonia. Sa video statement na inilabas ng Vatican, kinumpirma nito ang pagpanaw ng kinikilalang leader ng simbahan na kamakailan lamang ay sumailalim sa ilang medical procedures dahil po sa kanyang karamdaman.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle, con profondo dolore devo annunciare la morte del nostro Santo Padre Francesco. Alle ore 7:35 di questa mattina
Dumating na sa India nitong Lunes si US Vice President J.D. Vance para sa isang 4-day visit. Sa unang araw ng kanyang pagbisita, nakatakda makipagpulong si Vance kay Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi upang talakayin ang pagpapalakas ng bilateral relations na naisaayos noong Pebrero sa White House visit ni Modi kay President Donald Trump. Naganap ang pagbisita sa gitna ng pansamantalang pagkapahinto ng programa ni Trump sa taripa laban sa karamihan ng mga bansa. Layunin ng India na maiwasan ang ipinataw na taripa ng US, maisulong ang kanilang bilateral trade deal at higit pang patatagin ang relasyon nito sa administrasyong Trump. Target ng dalawang bansa na makapagpatibay ng kasunduan sa kalakalan ngayong taon at mapalawak ang overall trade ng dalawang bansa sa $500 billion pagsapit ng taong 2030. Bukod sa opisyal na agenda, kasama ni Vance ang kanyang asawang si Yusha na may lahing Indian at ang kanilang tatlong mga anak. Ayon sa Foreign Ministry ng India, inaasahang rerepasuhin ni Modi at Vance ang kasalukuyang estado ng ugnayan ng dalawang bansa at magpapalitan ng pananaw hinggil sa mahahalagang isyong panrehiyon at pandaigdigan.
Umaasa si US President Donald Trump na direkta silang mag-uusap ni Chinese President Xi Jinping 3 hanggang 4 na linggo mula ngayon. Ayon kay Trump, nais niyang kausapin ang sarilinan si President Xi upang alisin ang namumuong tensyon ng dalawang bansa dahil sa pataasan ng trade tariffs. Hindi rin pinapayagan ni Trump ang mga delegado mula sa White House na makipag-ugnayan sa mga opisyal ng Beijing. Wala ring appointed negotiator ang US President bilang kinatawan para sa trade talks kasama ang China. Ilang ulit na nagpahayag si Trump na makausap si Xi, ngunit walang sagot dito ang Chinese leader. Sa kabilang dako naman, tinutukan ni President Xi ang kanyang Southeast Asian tour upang ibida ang Beijing bilang alternative trading partner dahil sa pag-alma ng mga kapitbahay na bansa sa pagpataw ng Trump tariffs. Matatandaang nagtalaga ang gobyerno ng China ng bagong representative para sa trade talks kasama ang Estados Unidos. Ipinunto rin ni Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi sa isang press conference na tutol ang China sa anumang uri ng unilateralism at trade protectionism. Binilaan din ni Wang ang ibang mga kalapit na bansa sa malawakang economic deals sa US.
维护以世界贸易组织为核心的多边贸易体制，推动打造公正、公平、非歧视的贸易投资环境。中国印尼互为重要贸易伙伴，我们要始终坚持开放包容、互利共赢的合作理念，反对任何形式的单边主义、贸易保护主义。认为滥施关税将严重损害各国的正常经贸往来。我们将共同致力于加快区域经济一体化进程，维护产业链、供应链稳定畅通，维护全球南方的正当合法权益。
Nagsagawa ng joint aerial drills ang sandatahang lakas ng China at ng Egypt. Ayon sa spokesperson ng Egyptian Armed Forces, ang joint military drills na ito ay may layong pahusayin pa ang pagpaplano at pag-manage ng air combat operations ng dalawang bansa. Sangkot sa drills na ito ang multi-role fighter aircrafts ng China at ng Egypt. Higit pa rito ay nakatuon ang ganitong uri ng aerial exercises sa pagpapalakas ng military cooperation ng Egypt sa China.
Pinabulaanan ni Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian na nagsusupply ng armas ang China sa Russia. Kasunod ito ng pahayag ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky na binibigyan umano ng China ang Russia ng gunpowder at armas. Inakusahan din ni Zelensky na may ginagawang mga armas ang Beijing sa teritoryo ng Moscow. Ngunit pinaalala ni Lin kay Zelensky na mismong ito ang nagsabi noon na karamihan sa mga components ng mga armas na inaangkat ng Russia ay galing sa Estados Unidos at sa iba pang West countries.
国事访问，中方从未向冲突任何一方提供致命性武器，严格管控军民两用物项。乌方对此是十分清楚的，也公开表示，俄方进口武器的零部件，多数来自美国等西方国家。中方坚决反对无端指责和政治操弄。
Nagpunta si Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi ng Iran sa Russia at ayon kay Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, may bit-bit na sulat si Araghchi para kay Russian President Vladimir Putin. Sinabi ng ilang geopolitical experts na mahalaga ang nilalaman ng sulat ni Khamenei dahil patungkulan nila ito sa nuclear negotiations ng Iran at ng Estados Unidos. Maraming beses na kasing binalaan ni US President Donald Trump na bobombahin ito ang Iran at taragdagan din niya ng Estados Unidos ang taripa ng mga bansa bumibili ng langis sa Iran kung hindi makikipagkasundo ang Tehran sa Washington ukol sa isang nuclear program. Samantala, kinumpirma ni Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov ang pagbisita ni Araghchi sa Moscow at sinabing ito ay isang pagkakataon para ipagbigay alam kay President Putin ang mensahe ng Iran.
Действительно, министр иностранных дел Ирана сегодня в Москве. Он будет работать по линии Министерства иностранных дел. У него будет возможность передать послание верховного лидера Ирана, президенту Путину.
Mahalaga ang papel ng Russia sa pakikipagkasundo ng Iran sa West nations lalo na at matagal nang magkaalyado ang dalawang bansa. Isa rin ang Russia sa signatory states ng naunang nuclear deal ng Estados Unidos at Iran na siyang tinanggihan ni Trump noong umupo siya bilang Pangulo ng US noong taong 2018.
Napatunayan mula sa isang investigasyon na nagkaroon ng professional failures ang nangyaring pagpatay sa 15 Palestinian medics sa Gaza noong nakaraang buwan. Ikinagalit ito ng international communities na sinasabing ang pagpatay sa kanila ay isang war crime. Tinawag ito ng International Red Cross bilang deadliest attack sa sariling tauhan sa loob ng 8 taon. Nalaman sa investigasyon ng militar na kumilos ang Deputy Battalion Commander sa maling akala na pagmamayari ng Hamas ang mga ambulansya. Patuloy ang mga pampublikong protesta laban sa Hamas sa Gaza na nagpipilit sa gobyerno sa kasunduan na pauwiin ang lahat ng mga hostages.
Hinipitan naman po ng Malacanang ang mga panuntunan sa pagbiyahe ng mga opisyal ng gobyerno patungan Taiwan at sa pagtanggap ng mga opisyal ng Taiwan sa Pilipinas. Sa 2 pahinang memorandum circular ng tanggapan ni Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, inatas nito na anumang official activity na may kinalaman sa Taiwan ay kinakailangang mayroong clearance ng Department of Foreign Affairs o DFA. Ang paghihigpit sa pagbisita at pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga kinatawan ng Taiwan ay para sa mga matataas opisyal ng gobyerno, partikular na ang Presidente, Vice Presidente, Secretary of Foreign Affairs at Secretary of National Defense. Sinabi rin sa memo na ang mga opisyal ng gobyerno na ang layon sa pagbisita sa Taiwan ay may kinalaman sa ekonomiya, kalakalan at pamumuhunan ay dapat na gumamit ng kanilang ordinaryong pasaporte at hindi gagamitin ang kanilang opisyal na titulo. Binigyan din ng memo na dapat ay may DFA clearance or authorization mula sa Office of the President bago pumasok ang isang opisyal ng Pilipinas sa anumang written agreements sa Taiwan. Inangkin naman ng Russia ang American-owned na kumpanya ng pagkain na Glove Product at upang ilaan at mag-supply ng pagkain sa Russian military. Ayon sa mga ulat, ang kumpanyang ito ang kauna-unahang American-owned or owned firm na kinuha ng Estado mula noong buwan ng Oktubre ng nakaraang taon. Napatid po na ang kumpanya ay dating pag-aari ng Los Angeles-based si Leonid Smirnov na ngayon ay kontrolado na ahensya ng gobyerno ng Russia. Ayon kay US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, magiging bahagi ng pagpupulong sa pagitan ng Estados Unidos at Russia ang paghawak ng Russia sa naturang kumpanya sa gitna ng mga negosasyon para tapusin ang digmaan sa Ukraine. Inakusahan ng Estados Unidos si Smirnov na naglipat umano ng malaking halaga ng pera sa Russia, subalit mariin naman itong itinanggi ni Smirnov at sinasabing ito ay isang corporate raid na naglalayong kunin ang kanyang kumpanya.
Sa kabisera ng Estados Unidos, libo-libo ang nagprotesta laban sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Donald Trump. Kasama sa mga nilalabanan ng mga ito ay ang mga tuntunin sa Trump ni Trump ukol sa deportasyon, pagsibak sa mga empleyado ng gobyerno, pati na ang labanan sa Gaza at Ukraine. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Rosel Feria.
Sa labas ng White House kung saan naninirahan ang Pangulo ng US, hawak ng mga demonstrador ang banners na nagsasaad ng kanilang pagtuligsa sa gobyerno. Kasama sa mga isinisigaw ng mga ito ay Trump must go now. Kasama sa mga ipinaglalaban ng mga demonstrador ay ang mga migranteng idineport ng pamahalaan at yaong mga idedeport pa lamang. Nakikiisa rin ang mga ito sa mga empleyado ng federal government at sa mga universidad na binabanta ang puputulan ng pondo. Mula nang maupo ang bagong Pangulo noong Enero, katulong ng kaalyado nitong si Elon Musk, higit sa 200,000 empleyado ng gobyerno ang nasibak na. Kasama pa ang bantang pagsibak rin sa iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan na sa tingin ng administrasyon ay pinag-aaksehan lamang ng pera ng bansa. Gayon din daan-daang student visas na rin ang binawi ng Pangulo at idinitain din ang dose-dosenang mga mag-aaral. Nasa bingit rin ng tigil pondo ang mga universidad kung hindi tatanggalin ng mga ito ang diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, climate initiatives at pro-Palestinian protest ng kani-kanilang programa. Kaugnay nito, kinundina ng rights groups ang mga tuntuning ipinatutupad. Kawangis ng mga protesta ang ginanap rin sa dose-dosenang lokasyon kabilang ang New York City at Chicago. Ito ang ikalawang pambuong bansang mga demonstrasyon mula nang manungkulan muli si Pangulong Trump. Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Inakusahan ng isang senador sa Estados Unidos ang administrasyon ni Pangulong Donald Trump na nagsisinungaling ito ukol sa maling pagkakadeport ng isang lalaking Salvadoran. Angeli Guzman po para sa balitang yan.
Noong Biyernes, kinumpirma ni Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen na nakipagkita ito kay Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Si Abrego Garcia ay ang lalaking Salvadorian na maling na-deport at ngayon ay nasa isang kulungan sa El Salvador. Nagkita sina Van Hollen at Abrego Garcia sa hotel matapos ilang ulit tanggihan ang kahilingang ito ng senador. Ayon kay Van Hollen, dinala si Abrego Garcia sa hotel nito bago lumipad pabalik ng US ang senador noong Huwebes. Sinubukang bisitahin ng mambabatas si Abrego Garcia sa kilalang mapanganib na secret prison para sa mga miyembro ng mga gang kung saan ito nakakulong. Matapos aminin ng Washington na nagkamali ito ng pagdideport kay Garcia, ipinag-utos ng Supreme Court sa administrasyong Trump na pabalikin si Abrego Garcia sa bansa. Ayon naman sa mga abogado ni Abrego Garcia, ni minsan ay hindi ito nakasuhan ni napatunayang gumawa ng anumang krimen. Itinatanggi rin ng mga abogado ang akusasyon ng Justice Department na miyembro ng criminal gang MS-13 si Abrego Garcia. Sa kabila ng pag-uutos na ito ng Supreme Court, tila walang planong gumawa ng hakbang ang pamahalaan na ibalik si Abrego Garcia sa US. Ayon sa administrasyon, wala silang otoridad na pakawala na ang isang bihag ng ibang bansa. Sinasabing mauuwi ito sa posibleng constitutional conflict kung hindi susunod ang Pangulo sa pinakamataas na korte. Nilisan na ngayoy 29 anyos na si Abrego Garcia ang El Salvador noong ito'y 16 pa lamang upang takasan ang karahasang dulot ng gangs. Tumanggap ito ng protective order noong 2019 upang patuloy na manirahan sa US. NJ de Guzman para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Alanganing bumiyahe papuntang Estados Unidos ang mga residente ng Canada dahil sa kasalukuyang tensyon sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Ito ay kaugnay ng labanan ng taripa, gayon din ang tensyong politikal sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Narito ang report ni NET25 correspondent Cherry Recolizado mula sa Toronto.
Dahil sa patuloy na tariff war at pagbabanta ni Pangulong Donald Trump, ang karamihan ng mga Canadians ay pinipiling hindi bumisita sa Estados Unidos dahil na rin sa mga bagong requirements na kailangang gawin bago makapunta ang kahit na sino sa US. Nitong linggo, nagbigay ng anunsyo ang Canadian Association of University Teachers sa kanilang mga miyembro ukol sa pagbiyahe sa US. Pinaalalahanan nila na maging maingat at kung maaari ay huwag na munang dumayo sa US kung hindi naman kinakailangan dahil sa political tension at mga problemang kinakaharap ng mga Canadians na pumupunta sa US. Ayon sa US Customs and Border Protection, bumaba ng 32% ang bilang ng mga Canadians na nagtutungo sa US o humigit kumulang 864,000 katao noong nakaraang buwan. Ang gobernador ng California na si Gavin Newsom ay nananawagan sa mga Canadians na bumalik at bumisita sa US, lalo na sa California. Nag-post ng malinaw na mensahe si Governor Newsom sa kanyang social media na ang mga Canadians ay welcome sa California. Ayon sa kanya, nasa 2 milyong Canadians ang bumisita sa California noong nakaraang taon. Cherry Recolizado, Toronto, Ontario para sa NET25 News.
Sa ikalawang pagkakataon, nag-leak ang strike plans ng Estados Unidos laban sa isang private chat group. Ang hinihinalang nag-leak na naturang impormasyon ay si US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Sa isang signal group chat kasama ang kanyang mga kapamilya at personal lawyer, idinitalya ni Hegseth ang impormasyon katulad noong naunang leak incident, ang mga impormasyon sa military activities at mga plano ng pag-atake. Ang mga detaling ito ay nangangailangan ng mataas na security clearance at hindi basta-basta ipinapaalam sa iba. Nagpahayag ng pagdududa sa kakayanan ni Hegseth at suwestyon na tanggalin na siya sa pwesto ang ilang mga senador ng Administrasyong Trump. Ikinababahala rin ito ng ilang former US officials dahil sa risk na maaaring dulot nito para sa mga sundalong naka-assign overseas. Si Hegseth rin ang hinihinalang nag-leak ng nakaraang March 15 Yemen strike laban sa rebeldeng grupong Houthi.
Isang diplomatic source ang nagsabi na naimbitahan si Rafael Grossi, Director General ng International Atomic Energy Agency o IAEA sa Rome para sa ikalawang pagpupulong ng Iran at Estados Unidos tungkol sa isang nuclear program. Ang nasabing high-level meeting ay naganap noong nakaraang Sabado. Nagkita muna sina Grossi at Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi sa Tehran. Binigyan diin ni Araghchi ang kahalagahan ng papel ng IAEA na siyang nuclear watchdog ng United Nations.
اقتضا می‌کرد که ما مدیر کل آژانس بین‌المللی انرژی اتمی رو در جریان روند امور قرار بدیم. چرا که آژانس حتما نقش بسیار مهمی رو در ادامه مسیر میتونه ایفا بکنه و باید ایفا بکنه. آژانس بین‌المللی انرژی اتمی تنها نهاد معتبر و مشروع بین‌المللی هست برای نظارت بر و راستی‌آزمایی بر برنامه هسته‌ای کشورها و ما هم فقط آژانس رو از این جهت معتبر میشناسیم.
محمد اسلامی رئیس
Dati nang kinwestiyon ng IAEA ang Iran kung bakit may nakaimbak na 60% uranium sa teritoryo nito, subalit hanggang sa ngayon ay hindi pa rin nagbibigay ng paliwanag ang Iran tungkol sa nasabing issue. Nagwakas na ang ikalawang indirect talk sa pagitan ng US at Iran tungkol sa nuclear program ng Tehran. Ginanapan na sabi indirect talk sa diplomatic compound ng Oman sa Rome na pinangunahan ni Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi at Trump envoy na si Steve Witkoff. Ang isinagawang indirect talks ay itinuturing na matagumpay ng mga opisyal na magkabilang panig. Ayon naman kay Araghchi, magkakaroon ng expert group meeting sa mga susunod na araw upang pag-usapan ang mga technical details katulad ng pagkatakda ng maximum na antas ng uranium enrichment at kung gaano kalaki ang pananatilihing nuclear stockpile ng bansa. Kasama din sa pag-uusapan ng expert groups ay kung paano masusubaybayan at ma-verify ang pagsunod sa anumang kasunduan.
روز شنبه خب ادامه جلسه قبل خواهد بود. جلسه قبل همونطور که گفته شد جلسه سازنده و رو به جلوی بود. البته ما در فاصله جلسه قبل تا این جلسه مواضع مختلفی رو از طرف مقامات آمریکایی شنیدیم، بعضاً مواضع متضادی رو و این اصلاً به نظر من کمک کننده به روند مناسب مذاکراتی نخواهد بود.
Ayon sa mga opisyal ng Iran, ang kanilang negosasyon sa Amerika ay hindi mauuwi sa permanenteng ikatatanggal ng Iranian nuclear infrastructure kung saan nag-invest ang Iran ng bilyong dolyar. Watak-watak naman ang opinyon ng mga opisyal ng Amerika, kabilang na si US President Donald Trump mismo ukol sa nuclear capacity ng Iran. Ang ilan ay nagsasabing delikadong hayaang may kapasidad ang Iran na gumawa ng sarili nitong nuclear fuel.
I'm for stopping Iran, very simply, from having a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I want Iran to be great and prosperous and terrific. I stopped them once they were broke and they didn't have any money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. There wouldn't have been an October 7th disaster. They were broke. They had no money, and they weren't spending it to terrorist organizations because they had none.
Ayon naman kay Witkoff, malabo magkaroon ng dilang Amerika sa Iran kung ipipilit nilang tanggalin ang kanilang nuclear capabilities. Ang Iran naman ay naglabas ng posibilidad na gawing joint venture ang pagpapatakbo ng kanilang nuclear enrichment facilities, bagamat hindi patiyak kung ang Amerika ang magiging partner nito.
Inakusahan ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ang Russia ng paglabag sa 30-hour ceasefire na mismong si President Vladimir Putin ang nag-utos.
Руководствуясь гуманитарными соображениями, сегодня с 18:00 часов до 00 часов с воскресенья на понедельник российская сторона объявляет пасхальное перемирие. Приказываю на этот период остановить все боевые действия. Исходим из того, что украинская сторона последует нашему примеру. При этом наши войска должны быть готовы к отражению возможных нарушений перемирия и провокаций со стороны противника, любых его агрессивных действий. Мы знаем, киевский режим более 100 раз, как вы мне и докладывали, нарушал договоренности о ненанесении ударов по энергетической инфраструктуре. Поэтому прошу быть крайне внимательными и собранными, быть готовыми к немедленному ответу в полном объеме.
Nangyari ito matapos ipagpatuloy ng Russian military ang mga pag-atake sa mga frontline sa kabila ng pag-anunsyo ng tigil putukan. Ayon kay Zelensky, mula nang magsimula ang ceasefire noong Sabado ng gabi, nagtala ng Ukraine ng 59 cases ng shelling at 5 assault na isinagawa ng Russia. Sinabi rin ng mga Ukrainian officials na may 387 cases ng shelling at 290 na paggamit ng drone ng Russia sa loob ng 6 na oras noong Sabado. Sa kabila ng mga alegasyong ito, nanindigan si Zelensky na patuloy nilang tututukan ang anumang mga pag-atake at magsasagawa ng mga kaukulang hakbang upang protektahan ang kanilang mga lugar. Habang ipinagdiriwang ang holiday, marami sa mga Ukrainians ang nag-aalinlangan sa pagiging tapat ng Russia sa truce, ngunit umaasa pa rin sa isang mas matagal na tigil putukan upang matigil ang labanan at mga patayan.
Також, що ми не дуже сподівалися, що щось буде насправді. Ми взагалі не дивимося на те, що говорить рота росіян, а ми дивимося на те, що роблять їхні руки. Їхні руки зазвичай роблять шкоду. Ось вони продовжують робити шкоду, хоча, можливо, там, не знаю, на якісь кілька годин стали робити це з меншою інтенсивністю, але сподівання не дуже велике.
Nagbanta si US President Donald Trump na ititigil na nila ang pag-aayos ng ceasefire sa pagitan ng Russia at ng Ukraine.
And I think I see that enthusiasm. I think I see it from both sides.
Do you think Russia's
But you're going to know soon.
Do you think Russia's playing you?
No, nobody's playing me. I'm trying to help. You know, this was Biden's war. By the way, by me getting involved, you know, they'll say, oh, Trump. This is not Trump's war. This is Biden. This is a war that should have never happened. We are going to see if we can get it done. I think we have a really good chance of getting it done. And it's coming to a head right now.
Mangyayari lamang ito kapag patuloy ang pagmamatigas ng Russia at ng Ukraine. Giit nitong ayaw niyang makakita ng muling labanan kung kaya't nais lamang niya na mabilis na matapos na ang ceasefire deal. Magugunitang naglunsad ng matinding atake ang Russia sa Ukraine noong taong 2022 kung saan marami mga bansa na ang namagitan para tuluyan ang matigil ang nasabing kaguluhan. Makailang beses na ring nagkaroon ng pagpupulong ang bawat panig para talakayin ang peace deal, subalit nagkakaroon lagi ng problema.
For some reason, one of the two parties makes it very difficult. We're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. No, Marco is right in saying it. We want to see it end. This because I think they're going to come up with things that are incredible, but probably the biggest reason.
Susunod, isa patay, 3 sugatan sa arson attack sa Seoul.
Binata sa Russia kulong dahil sa pagprotesta sa gyera laban sa Ukraine.
At robot half marathon ay sinagawa sa China. Detalye na iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik pa rin ng Mata ng Agila International.
It's hotter, the most awaited happening of your summer. It's the Summer Blast 2025. But wait, the best got better. Because it is NET25 Silver Anniversary. Grabe ang init ngayong Summer Blast. Kaya mag-summer outfit check na tayo para sa fun games, water park adventure, rides, neon lights na pwedeng pang selfie, fireworks, at pinaka-inaabangan nating lahat, concert all night long. Isang buong araw ito. So get your tickets now and experience the summer you'll always remember. Only at the Philippine Arena Complex, Ciudad de Victoria, Bocaue, Bulacan on April 27, 2025. Sobrang init na ba? Let's vibe this Summer Blast together with NET25.
Nagbabalik ang Mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Sumugod ang nasa 100 mga bumbero sa London upang apulahin ang 2 nasusunog na flat buildings sa Leman Street, Aldgate. Ayon sa otoridad, nagpadala rin sila ng 15 mga fire engines para tumulong sa fire tending operation. Batay sa salaysay ng mga nakasaksi sa insidente, nabalot ng apoy ang 6th floor ng unang flat habang ang 7th floor naman ay nadali ng sunog sa ikalawang flat. Nasagip naman ng mga sumaklolong mga bumbero ang nasa 11 residente. Hindi pa po tukoy ng mga otoridad kung ano ang sanhi ng sunog sa dalawang gusali.
Natagpo ang patay ng mga otoridad ang sospek sa arson attack sa isang high-rise building sa Bongchon-dong, Guanak District sa Seoul. Ayon sa mga otoridad, nagsimula ang apoy dakong alas 8:17 ng umaga na ikinasakit naman ng 3 individual. Dinala ang mga biktima sa paggamutan dahil sa hirap silang makahinga dahil sa smoke inhalation mula sa usok. Sa naging investigasyon ng pulisya, gumamit ng pesticide sprayer ang arsonist para sunugin ang gusali. Nalaman din ng mga otoridad ang naturang arsonist din ang responsable sa hiwalay na fire incident malapit sa high-rise building. Agad namang naapula ng mga bumberong sunog bandang alas 9:54 ng umaga.
Kung may ligaw pong bala, aba ay may ligaw din na gulong at ito po ang tumama sa isang pedestrian habang naglalakad ito sa sidewalk ng Moscow, Russia. Mula sa nakalap na dashcam footage, sumulpot na lamang ang gulong sa kanyang likuran. Habang patuloy ang pag-ikot nito ay tumalbog pa ito sa daan bago tumama sa ulo po ng babae. At dahil sa lakas ng impact ay natumba ito sa sahig, subalit hindi naman nawala ng malay ang pedestrian. Buti na lamang maraming nakakita sa insidente at may tumulong sa babae. May dumating naman na ambulansya para dalhin ang biktima sa pinakamalapit na ospital para gamutin siya sa tinamo niyang pinsala sa kanyang katawan. Pinaniniwala ang kumalas ang gulong sa isang bumabiyaheng gazelle truck sa kalsada.
Reptiles are not invited. Ito na lamang ang masasabi ng iba sa kakaibang animal video na ito na nakunan ng isang doorbell camera sa Florida. Nag-doorbell kasi ang isang alligator sa isang bahay habang sinusubukan itong pumasok sa gusali. Mapapansin din na may kasama pa itong isa pang buhaya na mistulang naghihintay na kapwa silang papasukin sa bahay. Ang Florida ay pangalawang estado sa US na may pinakamalaking populasyon ng mga alligators, kung saan ang Louisiana ang itinuturing na may pinakamaraming bilang ng mga buhaya.
Isang 19 anyos na aktivista ang sinintensyahan sa Russia ng halos 3 taong pagkakakulong dahil po sa pagprotesta nito sa labanan sa Ukraine. Alamin natin ang mga detaling ito mula kay Jeff Sanidad.
Hinatulan ang batang aktivistang si Daria Kozyreva ng isang korte sa Russia dahil sa paggamit nito ng 19th century poetry at graffiti bilang protesta sa laban ng Moscow at Kyiv. Halos 3 taon ng hatol ng korte kay Kozyreva. Ayon sa isang saksi, nahatulang guilty si 19-year-old Kozyreva ng paulit-ulit na paninira sa Russian Army matapos nitong maglagay ng poster na may linya ng Ukrainian verse sa isang pampublikong lugar. Nagbigay rin si Kozyreva ng isang panayam sa Sever Really, isang Russian language service ng Radio Free Europe. Ayon sa isang trial transcript na nakuha ng isang media outlet, nagplead ng not guilty si Kozyreva at tinawag na isang malaking fabrication o katha ang kaso laban sa kanya. 2 taon at 8 buwan ang sentensyang ipinataw rito. Ayon sa abogado ni Kozyreva, iaapilan nila ang hatol.
Я считаю, приговор должен быть оправдательный, хоть и такой незначительный срок наказания, но все-таки это реальное решение свободы. Я думал, что тупики, которые сделал уголовное дело, нас приближают все-таки к свободе. Не знаю, не могу проанализировать, будем читать протокол, приговор. Вероятно всего будет подана жалоба апелляционная.
Ayon sa tali ng isang Russian human rights group, si Kozyreva ay isa lamang sa halos 234 na mga taong nakakulong sa Russia dahil sa anti-war position ng mga ito. Jeff Sanidad para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Sa isang analyst, isa na namang dagok sa Google ang hatol ng US judge na dinodomina nito ang online ad technology. Si Rosel Feria para sa report.
Ayon kay Wedbush Securities Managing Director and Senior Equity Research Analyst Dan Ives, matinding dagok sa Google ang pasya ng judge noong Huwebes na illegal na minomonopolize nito ang online advertising technology.
I mean, the judge is basically saying that Google has an added advantage given where they sit between buyers and sellers on their platform in terms of their ad manager product. And this has always been a sensitive area. Google will fight it, but ultimately it's definitely a bit of a blow in terms of this ruling. I believe that this will be challenged, potentially maybe tweaked down. I wouldn't say reversed totally, but maybe altered. And I think, look, Google's going to have to figure out how ultimately they adjust their business model. I don't view it as a heavy lift. It's definitely a blow, but we look at what's happened with Meta in terms of their FTC trial. You look at Apple, Amazon. I mean, we're in right now a very, very regulatory environment for big tech.
Para kay U.S. District Judge Leonie Brinkema sa Alexandria, Virginia, dapat managot ang Google dahil sa anyay willfully acquiring and maintaining monopoly power sa markets para sa publisher ad servers at sa market para sa ad exchanges. Ang mga ito ay nasa pagitan ng mamimili at mga nagbebenta. Ang desisyong ito ng judge ay nagbibigay daan para sa isa pang hearing upang malaman kung ano dapat ang gagawin ng Google upang ibalik ang kompetisyon sa markets na iyon, tulad ng pagbebenta ng bahagi ng negosyo nito. Ikalawang court ruling na ito na nagsasabing hawak ng Google ang illegal monopoly. Ito matapos hatulan ang tech giant ng kawangis na pasya ukol sa online search naman. Samantala ayon sa Google, nakafocus ang kaso sa nakaraan kung saan tinatrabaho pa ng kumpanya kung paano i-connect ang tools nito sa mga produkto ng kompetensya. Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Isinagawa naman ang tinaguriang world's first humanoid robot half marathon sa Beijing. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nasa 20 humanoid robots mula sa mga koponan sa buong China ang nakiisa sa marathon event. May humigit kumulang 21 kilometers ang layo na tatakbuhing ruta ng mga kalako kung saan may iba't ibang terrain ang naka-install sa daan. Kabilang dito ang mga ramps para maging hamon sa mga humanoid robots at masubok ang kanilang mobility and flexibility. Ayon sa organizers ng event, layo ng sports competition na ito na alamin ang comprehensive abilities ng mga robot katulad ng reliability, durability, and safety. May nakatalaga naman na 8 refreshment stations para makapag-recharge sa mga robots na lalahok sa event. Sa huli, itinanghal na panalo sa marathon ay ang Ultra dahil sa mabilis na pagtakbo nito na 8 kilometers per hour.
Umantabay po kayo, magbabalik pa rin ang Mata ng Agila International.
Resilience. The people of Sudan mark 2 years of war. Fighting fire with fire. In Australia, age-old Aboriginal techniques help to fight bushfires. And big, colourful and pricey. In India, weddings are lavish. The industry's booming.
Global Us.
Tagumpay ang Curry-Butler duo para sa Warriors-Rockets matchup habang tinambakan ng higit 50 points ang Memphis Grizzlies laban sa OKC Thunder sa 2025 NBA playoffs. Si Kyle Lara para sa play-by-play.
Moses has been unable to drive by him. Shot clock at 2. Steph Curry!
Nagpakita ng isang golden tandem performance ang Warriors guards na sina Stephen Curry at Jimmy Butler para sa kanilang Game 1 victory sa playoffs laban sa Houston Rockets na may huling score 95-85. Nagkamit ang 3-point magician ng 31 points, 6 rebounds at 3 assists na mayroong 7 for 10 on shooting, kabilang ang kanyang 28-foot logo 3 sa natitirang oras ng halftime. Sinumahan din siya ni playoffs Jimmy na may 25 points, 10 for 19 from the field at isang game-high 6 steals. Samantala, hindi pinaporma ng top NBA team na Oklahoma City Thunder ang Memphis Grizzlies sa unang paghaharap ng dalawang koponan para sa first round elimination ng 2025 playoffs.
Wallace attacking and slamming!
Sa paghaharap ng dalawa ay pinakitaan ni leading MVP contender na si Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ang kanilang kalaban kung ano ang kakayahan ng isang top team sa NBA. Sa pagtatapos ng second quarter ay hawak ng OKC ang 32-point lead. Komportabling pumasok ang Thunder sa second half at lalo pang dinagdagan ng deficit ng 17 points hanggang sa tuluyang matapos ang matchup sa score na 131-80. Malamya ang naging opensa ng Grizzlies at tanging si Ja Morant lamang ang gumawa ng double-digit score mula sa 5 starter ng koponan. Nagawa rin ng OKC na magpasok ng 17 3-pointers sa kabuuan habang tanging 6 na tres lamang ang naipasok ng Memphis mula sa kabuuang 34 3 points na pinakawalan. Kyle Lara para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Jalen Williams.
Tinagurian na isa sa pinaka-decorated professional wrestler sa kasaysayan ng sports entertainment si John Cena matapos magwagi sa main event ng WrestleMania 41 sa Las Vegas. Carl, kausapin po para sa balitang yan.
Sa ni Cena ang previous record ni 16-time world champion at WWE Hall of Famer na si Ric Flair na nasa crowd din mismo ng main event kasama ang sabi niyang mananatili pa din siyang miyembro ng WWE sa ibang
Inilunsad ng spectacular duo na sina Kendrick Lamar at SZA ang panimula ng kanilang Grand National Tour noong Sabado sa Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dinumog ang kanilang spectacular concert performance sa US Bank Stadium ng halos 50,000 fans. Itinampok ito ng 52-song setlist na hinati sa 9 acts na ipinapakitang extensive catalogs at collaborative hits ng hip-hop duo. Dumagdag ang kauna-unahang all-stadium tour sa kanilang makabuluhang milestone matapos ng kanilang matagumpay na 2025 Super Bowl halftime show. Magpapatuloy ang kanilang tour sa Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Philadelphia at iba pang kalapit lungsod bago matapos sa huling destinasyon sa Landover, Maryland ng June 18.
Opisyal namang sasabak si Hollywood actor Ryan Gosling sa mundo ng Star Wars bilang pangunahing bida ng Star Wars Starfighter, isang bagong pelikulang ipalalabas sa May 2027. Ididirect po ito ni Sean Levy na kilala bilang direktor ng Deadpool at ng Wolverine. Ang Starfighter ay hiwalay sa mga naunang kwento ng Star Wars at magaganap 5 taon matapos ang The Rise of Skywalker. Ayon sa Lucasfilm, magtatampok ito ng bagong mga characters at bagong panahon sa universe ng Star Wars. Sa isang fan event sa Japan, ibinahagi ni Gosling ang pagkakahumaling niya sa Star Wars simula pagkabata. Ayon sa direktor na si Levy, layunin nilang magdala ng bago subalit tunay na Star Wars experience. Matatanda ang pinalawak ng Disney ang franchise matapos itong bilhin ang Lucasfilm noong 2012, kabilang narito ang sequel trilogy at mga spin-off na pelikula kagaya ng Rogue One at Solo. Sa mga nagdaang taon, naging matagumpay ang mga Star Wars series sa Disney Plus kagaya ng mga Mandalorian, Andor at Obi-Wan Kenobi. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita sa anumang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi po. Ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa NET25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News on tonight's headlines. A powerful display of alliance and military readiness unfolds as the annual Balikatan exercises between Filipino and American troops have officially begun.
We also possess credible combat power that backs up that commitment. The commitment and our promise to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific.
This year, we will focus on a comprehensive approach that encompasses full battle testing.
And the news starts now. A powerful display of alliance and military readiness unfolds as the annual Balikatan exercises between Filipino and American troops have officially begun. More than 14,000 soldiers from both nations are participating in what's being described as a crucial full battle test amidst growing concerns over regional security, particularly in the South China Sea. Take a look. These extensive drills, which kicked off today, will continue for 3 weeks until May 9th. It will showcase a range of advanced weaponry from the U.S., including the Nemesis anti-ship missile system and HIMARS rocket launchers. Our own armed forces will also be testing their modern missile capabilities in live-fire exercises alongside their American counterparts. Lieutenant General James Glynn, the exercise director for the U.S. side, emphasized the comprehensive nature of this year's Balikatan.
And BK-25 is set to introduce new capabilities that have been developed over the course of many, many years and spoken of already, frankly, here in the media. Things like the Navy and Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System. Things like the Marine Air Defense Integrated System, MADIS, and the Army's medium-range capability, the Typhoon missile. All here to bring together our capabilities to demonstrate and reassure the region that while we remain committed to peace, we also possess credible combat power that backs up that commitment. The commitment and our promise to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Our operations span complex joint endeavors, including missile defense, counter-landing live fires, and maritime strike capabilities, alongside humanitarian efforts and infrastructure projects that directly benefit our local communities. These initiatives are not solely about demonstrating power. They epitomize partnership in action, dedicated to safeguarding people, preserving peace, and preparing for future challenges.
For the Philippines, Major General Francisco Lorenzo, the exercise director, clarified that while the exercises are not directed at any specific nation, they serve as a vital deterrent against potential conflict.
This year, we will focus on a comprehensive approach that encompasses full battle testing, the continued operationalization of the archipelagic defense concept, and the refinement of our territorial defense strategies. Through this exercise, we reinforce our readiness to address contemporary security challenges and strengthen our ability to respond to any threats, ensuring that our defense capabilities are adaptable and resilient.
This year's Balikatan involves approximately 9,000 U.S. soldiers and 5,000 Filipino troops. Adding an international dimension, small contingents from Australia, Japan, Britain, France, and Canada are also participating, with an additional 16 countries signed on as observers. These exercises come at a time of heightened tensions in the region, largely stemming from China's increasing assertiveness in the South China Sea and its actions around Taiwan, a neighbor of the Philippines. Relations between Manila and Beijing have become particularly strained over the past 2 years due to confrontations between their coast guards in the South China Sea, a vast waterway that China claims almost in its entirety. The Israeli military's investigation into the killing of 15 emergency workers in Gaza last month has resulted in the dismissal of a field commander for providing a false report and the reprimand of a commanding officer. While acknowledging professional failures and violations of orders in the March 23 incidents near Rafah, the military maintains there was no cover-up.
The Israeli military on Sunday acknowledged professional failures and violations of orders in its review of last month's killing of 15 emergency workers and 3 separate shootings in the same location in Gaza. However, it said there was no attempt to conceal the incident, despite dismissing a field commander for providing an inaccurate report. The military is also reprimanding a commanding officer who had overall responsibility for what occurred, and said its advocate general was conducting its own investigation and could pursue criminal charges. The paramedics and emergency responders were shot dead on March 23rd near the southern city of Rafah. United Nations officials and the Palestinian Red Crescent found the bodies buried in a shallow grave a week later. This video, recovered from the mobile phone of one of the dead men, showed uniformed emergency responders and clearly marked ambulances and fire trucks with their lights on being fired on by soldiers. It was published by the Palestinian Red Crescent. The military said it was partly an operational misunderstanding by the troops, who believed they faced a tangible threat from enemy forces and fired on what they initially determined as a Hamas vehicle, but was in fact an ambulance. The military said Hamas has used ambulances to carry out operations, though its soldiers are told to distinguish between genuine emergency vehicles and those used by Hamas. A paramedic on the scene who was detained by the military and later released has said soldiers opened fire on clearly marked emergency response vehicles. The Palestinian Red Crescent had called for an independent international investigation prior to the release of this report.
The father of U.S.-Israeli hostage Idan Alexander says he believes his son is still alive, despite Hamas claiming his fate is unknown after the guard holding him was killed. Speaking to Reuters after Hamas announcement, Adi Alexander said the group's statement was unverified by the IDF and expressed hope for his son's return.
Second one already, I can't really comment on that, on Hamas's tweets. It's unverified by the IDF, so I really cannot comment on that. I'm pretty sure he's there, just waiting patiently to get out. But it seems like the negotiations are stalled and everything is stuck. We kind of back to a year ago, so it's really concerning.
When asked what he wants from the U.S. in light of Hamas's statement, this is what he said.
So I think we should engage back with them directly and see what can be done in regards of my son for American dead hostages and everybody else. Maybe we should negotiate on everybody's behalf. When I say we as an American. Stay committed to the second phase. It's still not clear why the second phase of the deal wasn't executed properly, why the IDF went back to fighting. It was laid down, first phase, second phase, third phase. So it's really not clear who is in violation of the second phase right now.
The 21-year-old New Jersey native was serving in the Israeli army when he was captured during the October 7, 2023 attacks. 59 hostages remain in Gaza, with fewer than half believed to be alive. On Saturday, Hamas released a new video of Israeli hostage Elkanah Bobat, showing him more gaunt and upset during a phone call with his family. Bobat's family approved the video's release. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the nation, reaffirming his commitment to continue the military campaign against Hamas.
הנחיתי את צה"ל להגיב בתקיפות.
I have ordered the IDF to respond firmly and further increase the pressure on Hamas. We are in the war of rebirth, the war on 7 fronts. This war has very heavy prices because any such loss is a world in and of itself. But we, as people who desire life, have no choice but to continue fighting for our very existence until victory. We are at a crucial stage of the campaign. And at this stage, patience and determination are required to win. If we surrender to Hamas's dictates now, all the tremendous achievements we have achieved thanks to our fighters, thanks to our fallen, thanks to our wounded heroes, all these achievements will simply go down the drain.
Egyptian mediators continue efforts to restore a ceasefire, which Israel abandoned last month after seeking to extend a temporary truce that had resulted in the release of 38 hostages. President Donald Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, said in March that securing Alexander's release was a top priority, and his case was central to recent talks between Hamas and U.S. negotiators. Meanwhile, Russia and Ukraine accused each other of thousands of attacks that violated the one-day ceasefire declared by President Vladimir Putin, with the Kremlin saying there was no order to extend the pause in frontline fighting. Take a look.
As Ukrainians and Russians separately attended services in their home countries, their governments accused each other on Sunday of carrying out hundreds of attacks despite a one-day truce declared by Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Outside the St. Michael's Cathedral in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, some residents spoke of air raid sirens going off right after Putin announced the ceasefire. This woman described missiles and drones flying overhead afterwards, saying they caused explosions in the country's south. What kind of ceasefire is that, she said. He lied, as he always does. Putin on Saturday evening unilaterally ordered his forces to stop all military activity along the front line until the end of Sunday, Moscow time.
I order a stop to all military activities for this period.
Приказываю на этот период остановить все боевые действия.
We assume that the Ukrainian side will follow our example. However, our troops should be ready to repel possible ceasefire violations and provocations by the enemy, any aggressive actions.
Любых его агрессивных действий.
We know that the Kyiv regime, as you have reported to me, violated agreements regarding ban on energy strikes more than 100 times. This is why I ask you to be extremely attentive and vigilant, to be ready for an immediate response in full.
Быть готовыми к немедленному ответу в полном объеме.
But on Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia was only pretending to observe ceasefire, saying on social media that Moscow had in fact continued hundreds of artillery attacks on Saturday night, with more assaults on Sunday. In an early afternoon post, Zelensky said, quote, "Either Putin does not have full control over his army, or the situation proves that in Russia they have no intention of making a genuine move toward ending the war and are only interested in favorable PR coverage." Russia's defense ministry in turn accused Ukraine of breaking the truce more than 1,000 times with shots fired and drone strikes. It said the attacks damaged infrastructure and caused some civilian deaths. Reuters was unable to immediately verify the battle reports from either side. The apparent failure to observe even a ceasefire shows just how hard it will be for US President Donald Trump to achieve his aim of clinching a lasting deal to end the war that Russia began 3 years ago.
Russia is known to bail on its proposals, so with the proposals of the Kremlin side, should always be taken with a grain of salt. And it's always easy to make those unilateral proposals when you are on the offensive, because it's Russia that's pushing forward, it's Russia that's attacking civilians in a Ukrainian city, and it's Russia. The ball is Russia's court to stop doing it.
The U.S. will abandon efforts to broker a peace deal unless there are clear signs of progress soon, officials said on Friday.
What this is all about is trying to keep Trump in the game. He thinks that he can stand to gain a lot more, not vis-a-vis Ukraine, But regarding some of the restrictions that the U.S. has put on, sanctions, et cetera, and also in trying to entice Trump with a big trade deal or access to to minerals. So I really think he wants to keep this Trump mediated talks going on. I don't think that the Trump administration really wants to give up on these, precisely because it would be portrayed as a as an abject failure from solving it in 24 hours to not being able to solve it at all. So that's why I think Putin responded the way he did. I think that he may have realized that maybe he's pushed a little too hard on Trump in terms of ignoring the ceasefire proposal.
Thousands of protesters rallied in Washington and other cities across the U.S. on Saturday. Now, demonstrators voiced their opposition to President Trump's policies on deportations, government firings, and the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
This was the scene in the U.S. Capitol as demonstrators marched toward the White House. Protesters carried banners that read, "Workers should have the power," "No kingship," "Stop arming Israel," and "Due process." This protester would only identify himself as John, and he had this warning for Americans.
Due process. That's the first thing they come for, is to take away our due process. And if you folks think here today that you're safe, they're just coming for the weak, the powerless, the students, the immigrants. They're not. They're coming for anybody who stands up against them.
That sentiment could be heard in similar protests across the country. In New York City, protester Julie Brickman says people are speaking out for good reason.
And I am here to be part of that uprising and protest all the, especially the deportations, the grabbing of people who are here legally and legitimately and throwing them into jail with no due process.
Clamping down on people's freedoms prompted Eileen Conrad of Chicago to take part in a rally in the Windy City.
They've outlawed the use of certain words and phrases. They're arresting people for voicing their opinions and their thoughts. It's got to stop. That's our country's premise, freedom of speech.
Another target of the protesters is the president's hatchet man, Elon Musk.
We've got this oligarch from South Africa stripping all of our society's elements that are for the people and trying to aggrandize it for a minority of powerful and rich in a rigged system that benefits them and not us.
We say,
That was the chant of demonstrators rallying outside Los Angeles City Hall. Protester Emmy Lockwood sums it up.
The people of Los Angeles are in consistent fight and opposition against the Trump and the billionaire agenda that wants to gut all of our social services, all of everything that makes our society work for working class people. That's what they want to attack.
People in the crowds are angry. They feel the government is tone deaf and not representing them. They don't like what they see is happening in Washington. They want change. Demonstrators like Matt Kinsey say it's time for people to get off the couch and become more involved if they want to shift the power back to the people.
I just see so much apathy in this country. We're so incentivized to just be lazy and to kind of sit back and not pretend like it's all of our problem.
Trump's administration is not even 100 days old, and discontent is growing by the week. Less than half of those polled, only 44%, give him a positive approval rating. 53% currently disapprove of the job Trump is doing. It seems many Americans are having buyer's regret about their choice in last November's election. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
Washington is ramping up its defense like never before, not just on land, sea, and air, but now in space. President Trump's bold new plan, called the Golden Dome, aims to build a missile defense shield that orbits the Earth, ready to spot and stop incoming threats before they reach U.S. soil. Take a look. Here's how it works. First, up to 1,000 satellites will be launched into orbit, scanning for any missile launches heading its way. Then a second fleet of 200 armed satellites equipped with missiles or lasers would swoop in to take those threats off the board before they reach Earth. Leading the charge on the tracking layer is SpaceX, Elon Musk's space venture, teaming up with data analytics from Palantir and defense startup Agila. And their focus? Building the custody satellites that sense, track, and calculate potential threats to U.S. soil.
As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before.
But here's where it gets controversial. Instead of selling the system outright, SpaceX has pitched a subscription model. Rent the network but never own it. Pentagon insiders warn that what starts as a shortcut could lock the government into rising private fees and long-term dependence. Interest in the Golden Dome is sky high. Over 180 companies have thrown their hats in the ring, from established defense giants to nimble tech startups. The Pentagon is under pressure to deliver early capabilities by 2026, while a complete global shield may not be in place until 2030. And politics are orbiting alongside the satellites. Elon Musk now holds a special advisory role in government as both a lead contractor and an appointed advisor, prompting questions in Congress about potential conflicts of interest and whether Silicon Valley moguls should shape America's defenses. Meanwhile, global reactions have been mixed. Russia has publicly condemned the plan, accusing the U.S. of militarizing space and jeopardizing strategic stability. So as the Golden Dome takes shape above us, the big questions remain. Will this ambitious shield deliver the protection America needs, or will challenges on the ground and in the halls of power keep it grounded? South Korea has found increased attempts to disguise foreign products as Korean exports, primarily from China, to avoid U.S. President Trump's sweeping tariffs. The Korea Customs Service, or KCS, said it has found 29.5 billion won, or $20.81 million worth of violations related to country of origin from the first quarter, with U.S.-bound shipments accounting for 97% of the total after a special probe last month. Now that compared to a total of 34.8 billion won worth of violations for all of 2024, among which U.S.-bound shipments accounted for 62%. Now, Trump, who took office in January, has imposed significant tariffs on various products and countries, including those on China that began to rise from February.
We plan to strengthen and enforce preventive measures against potential cases where countries with higher tariffs than South Korea may have sufficient incentive to reroute shipments through Korea. As South Korea is geographically close to China, we believe there are many cases that goods from China go through South Korea for disguised export attempts. In addition, Southeast Asian countries may also seek to route shipments through South Korea, and we see a growing risk of such cases occurring in those regions as well.
At a news conference today, the KCS showed mattresses and cathode materials for lithium batteries from China as some of the illegally disguised items. The KCS has launched a special task force to prevent attempts to illegally export such goods and plans to come up with more specific response measures to protect domestic companies. Meanwhile, the violations discovered will be referred to prosecutors. Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is facing renewed scrutiny after reports surfaced that he shared war plans in a private chat, this time including his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. The news reported by Reuters has triggered fresh calls for his resignation. Take a look.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared war plans in a second Signal chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. That's according to a source familiar with the matter who spoke to Reuters on Sunday on condition of anonymity. In the second chat, Hegseth shared details of a March attack on Yemen's Houthi rebel group, including the schedule of the airstrikes. Similar to those revealed last month by The Atlantic, the magazine's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg was included in a separate chat on the Signal app by mistake. The embarrassing incident involved all of President Donald Trump's most senior national security officials. The source said the second chat included about a dozen people and was created during Hegseth's confirmation process to discuss administrative issues. Hegseth's wife, Jennifer, a former Fox News producer, has attended sensitive meetings, according to images the Pentagon has publicly posted. His brother is a Department of Homeland Security liaison to the Pentagon. The revelations come at a particularly delicate moment for Hegseth, with senior officials ousted from the Pentagon last week as part of an internal leak investigation. One of Hegseth's leading advisors, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense. 2 less senior officials were fired on Friday. The latest news has renewed calls by Democratic lawmakers for Hegseth to step down. Senator Tammy Duckworth said that he, quote, must resign in disgrace, while Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said on X that Hegseth, quote, must be fired. A Pentagon spokesperson, without evidence, said that the media was, quote, enthusiastically taking the grievances of disgruntled former employees as the sole sources for their article. Meanwhile, a White House spokesperson said that, quote, recently fired leakers are continuing to misrepresent the truth.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction. Our friends are coming back. Art, Beth, PJ, and Joey. Did you miss them?
Hey kids, you're here! Finally, we've missed you!
Ate DJ is also back. Let's join together to study and learn. So make sure to watch out for Word Hop. Only here on NET25.
Let's net together. So NET25.
In a truly unique spectacle out of Beijing, China, humanoid robots took to the pavement alongside human athletes for the very first time in a half marathon this past Saturday. Take a look. However, the groundbreaking event wasn't without its stumbles, literally. Reports indicate that the robotic runners were accompanied by human trainers who at times had to physically assist the machines during the 21-kilometer race. Adding to the challenges, one robot took a tumble right at the starting line, while another veered off course and crashed into a railing shortly after beginning, even causing its human operator to fall. Despite these early mishaps, one robot, named Hanggang Ultra, managed to complete the half marathon in a respectable 2 hours and 40 minutes. While an impressive feat for a machine, it still has a significant way to go before matching human speed, with the men's race winner clocking in at just over an hour. The unusual race drew considerable attention, with crowds of spectators, including AI professors, eager to witness the novel competition.
There is a kind of sportsmanship, whether it's humans or robots, they're all exercising. It feels like I'm watching the development of machines, the development of AI.
While humanoid robots have made appearances at marathons in China previously, This marked the first time they directly competed against human runners. The robots from various Chinese manufacturers showcased a range of designs and sizes. Beijing officials framed the event less as a traditional foot race and more as a technological demonstration, akin to a race car competition, emphasizing the crucial role of engineering and navigation teams. China is hoping that investments in cutting-edge industries like robotics can drive new economic growth. However, some analysts are questioning whether robot participation in marathons is a reliable measure of their true industrial potential. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.